Hey everyone, it's Dr. Rick, and this is an unboxing of Procera. Procera is a company that has a combination of different things. They have sleep and calming supplements. It's usually proprietary blend too. So sleep and calming, or this one is for, there's also with mood, there's also for focus. So this one I happened to investigate because I was looking at I did do a video when I did some hiking for acute altitude sickness. So I'll put, you don't have to watch the whole video, but I talked about Ginkgo extract. This is 600 milligrams per dropper, I believe. And most of the studies I'm going to show you in a second are on the use of 240 milligrams of Ginkgo biloba extract. And this is the stuff. Okay, this comes with a little bit of an insert. That's kind of cool. So Procera came with an insert. Has a little bit of a, I guess, has the ingredients. Pretty good. It breaks down the ingredients on this side, which one of them is caffeine. So on the back, that is the label. So probably too whited out at this point. There you go. That's the label. So maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. But, ooh, and look at that. It even comes with a $5 off coupon. Yummy. So, anyway, most of you know that I'm studying for another exam. And it's like, you know, I do take so many fellowships out of my own pocket just to improve the way I give help and problem solving to my patients, and I still gotta get tested on basic science crap. I don't even deliver babies anymore, and I don't do shots for kids anymore, and I still gotta get tested on that stuff. It's a waste of them. It's a waste of my time, really. So I had to use up my vacation time to study all this. Anyway, I digress as usual. Ugh, I don't like that smell. You know, some of the smells when I unbox these things, it's got to be from the plastic bottle, I think. So if I just shake this up a little bit, perhaps, get that crappy smell out. You know, it is probably from the bottle. I probably shouldn't be taking a whiff of this stuff after it's been vacuum sealed. But so that is one of them. A standard size capsule. Again, that's the ingredients. I'm not going to take one now. But as I mentioned, you have acetyl L-carnitine, which I also did a video on acetyl L-carnitine for my folks that are fasting or going into a little bit of ketosis. Acetyl L-carnitine, which is one of the active ingredients there, is useful for carrying long-chain fatty acids into the mitochondria. Again, I'll put a link down below, so check out my video on acetyl L-carnitine. It helps to utilize fat as fuel faster. So if you're not fat adapted yet, this will get you going. At least the acetyl L-carnitine will. This happens to have a little bit in it, but the only problem is if you look at it has it's a proprietary blend, so it doesn't really tell you how much of the ginkgo. Most of the studies that I came across all did studies on about 204. It was really, most of these studies were reviews. So systematic review. I hope that doesn't get burned up too much. This is from China and Germany, Ginkgo biloba extract, and versus Aricept. Aricept is a medicine that's used for dementia. And that's where the beauty of Ginkgo comes in handy. Thus, the reason for cognitive improvement. And that's why I decided to use it, because I'm taking a test. And I gotta sit for like a 7-hour test, just questions for 7 hours. Who knows? Anyway, this did a head-to-head and found there was good efficiency of Ginkgo, and in a head-to-head run against Aricept, it did do just as well as Aricept in taking care of mild to maybe moderate dementia. So that's one study. Mild cognitive impairment was also because you don't have to wait till somebody gets to dementia. You can apply it in somebody who has mild cognitive impairment. And who has that? Well, a lot of my patients with brain fog. Doesn't have to be from stroke, doesn't have to be from an anoxic event. accident, doesn't have to be from traumatic brain injury, but all those things do add up in the long run. Multiple hits, multiple medical diseases, a lot of oxidation. I think it would be a nice thing to use because the downside's low. In fact, there was one study here that talked about low side effects. This one. This is another study. It just mentions, it's more from China. So I don't know. I tried to research the place in China, the school in China, but there was up here, China, and a pharmacy in, it looked like it was a pharmacy in Germany. But they talked about the use of ginkgo and low side effects. So that's cool. You got to take it with a grain of salt, but as of yet, the National Institute of Health, which is our research body that our taxpayers pay for, our taxpaying dollars pay for, really pours in a lot of information for the benefit. You know, it was for pharmaceuticals, but now it's more towards lifestyle change. It's kind of cool because with the advent of dieting and preventive medicine, you're getting more money put into the pipeline as far as research for what kind of exercise is good, what kind of phytochemicals important for with regards to turmeric or with regards to blueberries. So it might sound insignificant, but it's really important because it breaks down to information, and information when we interpret it, we can give it to patients and it'll help you guide your way out of that damaging lifestyle that everybody's in the United States, on your way to hopefully longevity without disease. Again, this is a good one. This one talked about the use of ginkgo with acute ischemic stroke. The other ones were more on dementia, mild cognitive impairment for whatever reason. This one was on ischemic stroke and uses with ginkgo and aspirin together. Again, the information was on ginkgo. There's that. The supposedly superoxide radical information or taking care of lysosomal damage after stroke is what it helped with. So foreign words if you don't know what that means, but it just shows you that after the damage of holding off oxygen from a brain because of either an embolism or a hypertensive bleed, it helped with regards to the post-stroke damage. It kept the damage low in a sense. So with very little side effect. So they accounted for very little side effect, but they did quote or find 2 studies outside of what they studied, their body of study, stating that there was an increased tendency to bleed, only 2 reports. So in the rest of these, there wasn't really that much. There's a study out of Oxford, just a review, also saying that there's more information that's necessary, but it's worth the studies. This is a pretty cool study. It talked about the use of measuring brain function with EEG. That's when you have those dots and those wires coming off your head and you measure electrical activity in the brain. Well, this showed how ginkgo improved with your outcome in the brain, making specifically helping or showing that there is more temporal lobe, that's these sides, and frontal lobe activity when you use ginkgo. The temporal lobe specifically is for memory, so it was surmised or assumed that there is something that had to be almost the same as what happens with Aricept. Aricept is the first study I showed you. That's a specific medicine for dementia. Again, when there's a medicine for dementia, that could be pretty expensive. Not all insurances probably cover it. And then there's the same comparative results using ginkgo. I mean, this is pure ginkgo extract. And if there's a head-to-head study that shows its improvement in mild to moderate dementia or a mild cognitive impairment was just as good as a prescription drug, I'd say it's worth it with probably pennies to the dollar less than the prescription drug. So this again essentially just talked about no side effects in Alzheimer's disease in all the trials that they studied. So bottom line is that I'm using it just for the effectiveness of this. I hope will help. Number one, because I'm an intermittent faster, I don't eat anything in the morning. I'm planning to not eat anything the day of the morning of my test. because I don't want to get an insulin spike and get really tired. So I want to keep my tradition, my usual schedule up for the test. I start my test at 8, I finish at like 5, I think. And I usually start eating at, if I start my test at 8 a.m., I'll be fasted. And fasting, again, if you have L-carnitine, it would be helpful. Acetyl L-carnitine would be helpful for pulling in, if I am fat adapted, it'll pull in the fat out of my gut, my storage bin, my visceral fat, and use that as energy. So I'm going to be really doing a lot of calculating. About, I think it's a minute a question, and it's not continuously for 8 hours, but there are, I think, 15-minute breaks. I forget how it goes, but there's like 100 questions, and then you go straight, and then you take a break, straight 100 again, take a break. It's pretty brutal, but hey, that's being a doctor. So acetyl L-carnitine would be nice to have if it was mixed in to help me get some fuel. Ginkgo, if the studies show that it will help. Now, probably should have started it a couple weeks ago, but even if there is a placebo response, I'll still be turned on and hopefully avoid the postprandial crash that sometimes I get after having my first meal at 12 noon. I planned on hopefully taking my first break 8, 9, 10, and then second break at 12. I think that's the way it goes, 2 hours at a time or something like that, 90 minutes at a time. But if I have a lunch, because I'm getting growly and my ghrelin's starting to turn on at noon, I don't want to eat too much as far as carbohydrate, because I'm afraid if I get too much carb, I'm going to be crashing. So I'll keep it very high protein and maybe fat related. But the L-carnitine will help with that. And this thing down below right here, if you can see it, caffeine. Caffeine will be helpful for waking up. I don't like caffeine when it comes in with the coffee, because coffee gives me reflux. I don't want to be burping up. I definitely don't want to be having interruption of sleep the night before or the week nights before. So I'm going to be decreasing on my coffee. In fact, I have cut coffee out. I'm just relying on green tea, a lot of it. So I usually just put in about 3 teaspoons in the morning in my Krupp brewer, and then I just keep on. I probably brew it 3 or 4 pots. That's not new. I just use the same tea leaves that I originally, so it's diluted as I go down, but it's mostly just fluids. Keeps my stomach busy. So that'll help with waking me up. This hopefully will help with energy and a little bit of mindfulness. Turning on the mind will be important. Again, if you look at the basic premise for how Aricept, since we're comparing Aricept, Aricept works by stopping the breakdown of acetylcholine. That's a neurotransmitter in the brain. Those of you who are in chemistry, you probably heard about acetylcholine. And when you break down acetylcholine, you don't have any neurotransmitter. And sometimes you can be exhausted, and then you really have problems with memory and thinking and processing. That brain fog everybody talks about. Now, if you make sure that the body has plenty of acetylcholine around, or it doesn't break it down, that's what Aricept does, it prevents the breakdown, then your neurological function will be maximized. Now, that's supposedly how Ginkgo works, in addition to the protective effects post-stroke. But, and there's other things. There's terpenoids, there's flavonoids, there's ginkgosides. So there's a lot of other things from the ginkgo plant. It's just like 1,000 to 2,000 years old. That'll help benefit this up here with very limited side effects. So I don't know about the caffeine. I'm going to start doing it. My test is on Friday. I'm going to start taking this now. I was taking other forms of ginkgo prior, so hopefully if there is a loading dose necessary, I've already loaded. But whether it helps or not, we'll see. But for those of you who are maybe fasting in the morning and still have a lot of brain fog, or if you're in school, I'd say give it a try. If you need the coffee but you have the reflux, maybe this won't be nice, because number one, you won't have the coffee bean. You'll have the caffeine that you're probably looking for. It doesn't say how many milligrams of caffeine. It just, again, it says a proprietary blend of 346 milligrams of rhodiola, guarana, green tea leaf, and has the breakdown of the caffeine percentages of all those things. So guarana, green tea, they all have a little bit of caffeine. So if you want to taste caffeine, this might do the trick. And the serving size is 2 capsules. 2 capsules, if you can see that. So I'd say take 2 capsules, maybe again in the afternoon if you start to crash in the afternoon. If you're taking aspirin, it should be safe if you're doing a baby aspirin a day. If you have a bleeding disorder and you're on warfarin, I'd probably be careful. Warfarin or maybe Plavix. There were no studies with Plavix, or just one study with warfarin, and it said it was safe, but yes, have to be careful. Definitely if you're on aspirin, no problems. So hopefully this gives you a little of an idea, maybe an option if you're having reflux and you want to stop the coffee bean, because coffee bean itself, the caffeine is not good for reflux, but if you just have caffeine without the coffee bean is irritating to reflux sufferers, so you get one thing out of the way. You should also probably avoid tomato, anti-inflammatories, chocolate, peppermint. So all that's important if you're just trying to take advantage of your fasting in the morning and you really need to turn on brain power in the morning because of assignments, because of presentations, because that's when your creativity wants to, if you're writing, that's when your creativity is on, then try it because of the ginkgo part. If you are fasting, as I mentioned, and you want to ensure that the long-chain fatty acids get into the mitochondria to be used and broken down as fuel, L-carnitine would be nice because it's in there too. So this might be a good, I'll let you know how it goes. But at this point in time, just because of the ingredients, I like everything, even though it's proprietary. I don't like proprietary brands or blends, because you don't have an exact measurement. I like the studies that, when the studies say you got to use 240 milligrams, I like 240 milligrams. Proprietary blends never have to give you the exact breakdown, that's why it's proprietary. But I'll give it a try, see what happens. I'll probably finish it and not need it again because I think I'm okay, and I'll hopefully never have to take another board test again for at least another 2 years, so I'll be able to at least cruise along and do my usual knowledge. So hopefully this helps. If you have any comments of how you use ginkgo biloba, please scroll down below all the videos and put them down below. Otherwise, I'll see you at the next unboxing.